The first Cowboys report of the day is presented by Kenzuri, the height-boosting shoes to help level the playing field in your dating game. Say all about them later on in today's show, but some news to get into, roster cuts included. But first, as has been rumored for a while now, Josina Anderson reports that the Cowboys are going to activate Jourdan Lewis off of the physically unable to perform list. Remember, Lewis has been on the PUP list all preseason and training camp long. He has not been out there at this stage after a season last year in which he had 1 interception and 1 pass breakup. Lewis missed the majority of the year with a really bad foot injury. They've called it a Lisfranc injury, but even Lewis himself has said it was frankly a little bit worse than that. But when he's been out there, when he's been healthy, he's been at least top 4 corner in the on the Cowboys roster. I almost said in the NFL, which he's not. He's not top 4 corner in the NFL. He's 4th on the Cowboys depth chart right now. As we sit here filming just before 2 p.m. Eastern Time and 1 p.m. Central Time, the Cowboys, of their moves made so far, have not made any moves involving corners. Well, those top 4 guys then would be locks. Trayvon Diggs, Stephon Gilmore, Deron Bland, Jourdan Lewis. And frankly, outside of kind of Israel Mukuamu, I don't know if any of them are a roster lock at this stage. Eric Scott, Sean Wright, Kelvin Joseph, you'll probably see C.J. Goodwin cut and then brought back. That is all still up in the air as we sit here with a few hours to go until the 53-man roster deadline is decided. But Jourdan Lewis is back with the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think he's going to play week 1. I think it'll be some more patience involved in that front. Maybe the Michael Gallup thing where he plays in week 3 or something along those lines. And hopefully this is not a Michael Gallup situation. We'll have to wait and see how that all ends up materializes from that perspective. But is bringing Jourdan Lewis back the correct move? Y for yes, N for no. This will be today's pinned comment. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. Some early roster cuts to get into. As we sit here filming, about a dozen roster cuts have been made, including one literally seconds ago. Isaiah Land, the Cowboys' outside edge rusher, has been released with the hope he makes it back to the practice squad and clears waivers. Probably means good sign for players, at least one of Chauncey Golston, Neville Gallimore from that perspective. But Isaiah Land, the most recent cut. Now for some other ones who have come across the wire in the last hour-ish. Wide receiver Dennis Houston. This one, not much of a surprise at all, was very much expected. Houston would not be released. Much like Isaiah Land, he is also a prime candidate for the practice squad. Houston will clear waivers. We will wait and see about Isaiah Land. Of the guys cut so far, a short list to be fair, that's one of the ones I'd be most concerned about. Today's show is made possible by Kenzuri. Fellas, have you ever wished you were a little bit taller? Maybe you matched on Tinder, but a profile says, got to be over 6 foot. Maybe your date wants to wear heels, but she can't because it'll make her taller than you. We have Short Kings covered with today's sponsor, Kenzuri. Kenzuri makes shoes that can add up to 2.8 inches to your height and make you taller without anyone knowing. Kenzuri shoes are not just height boosting, but also stylish and comfortable. They are not grandpa's Velcro shoes, but fashionable shoes that can receive compliments even without the height hack. For a limited time only, our listeners get an additional, or watchers I should say, get an additional 15% off their order at kenzuri.com/chat. The site is already 30% off, but with our link, you get an additional 15%. That is 45% off your order. Support our show and check them out at konzuri.com/chat. Life is short, but you don't have to be. Level the playing field and get a little high in a pair of Kenzuris. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. Now, if you've been watching our shows, you know that we've discussed Jabril Cox being on the bubble. Well, he is among the players that have been released by the Cowboys organization so far. The goal is for him to get back to the practice squad. I don't know if he's going to. This does leave Dallas very thin at linebacker. Leighton Vander Esch, Damone Clark are roster locks. I do think Devin Harper makes it, by the way. I'd put him in the safe category. Well, I kind of doubt Malik Jefferson. Maybe they try to do some IR shenanigans there. Who knows? DeMarvion Overshown will eventually go to IR, but has not gone officially yet. That should be done at some point in the coming hours-ish. What the Cowboys will actually do here is go super deep at safety. Jourdan Lewis, Marquise Bell are both actually kind of linebackers, with where they play. They're going to spend the majority of their time in the box. Then there's Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, Israel Mukuamu can do some hybrid stuff for you. I think they could always give Wanye Thomas some of those reps too, and Tyler Coyle is probably a prime practice squad candidate as well. But the Jabril Cox active roster era appears over, so it might be, especially if he gets claimed, the last time we can do this on the show. Spam Cox out in the comment section for me right now. Next up is Malik Davis. This one's certainly not a surprise as the Cowboys make the move to move on from Davis. But again, these first three names here, these are prominent practice squad candidates for the Dallas Cowboys. Prominent options from that perspective. I will make notes. We'll get to another cut here that impacts this too. There is still a chance, those of you who want Hunter Lipke on the 53-man roster, this move, and one we'll get to in a moment at tight end, does help that become a possibility. Now, Isaac Alarcon has also been cut. This one not a surprise. He is out of practice squad freebies as part of an international player pathway program piece, but Cowboys still might put him there in large part because he can play defensive line or offensive line. And when you're the 60th player, 70th player on the team, it actually does carry some value. Sean McKeon has also been released by the Cowboys. I had thought that there was kind of a one spot open with the Trey Lance trade here to make room for one of Sean McKeon, maybe Malik Davis, but probably not in that conversation, Hunter Lipke, and Jalen Brooks. So if you want one of those guys on the roster, only carrying 3 tight ends does help you in that category. Now, the Cowboys are not done making moves. A lot more still to go and about the 2-ish hours to go until the 53-man roster must be finalized. We will have a full breakdown of what it looks like. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button right now. The next batch, a little bit more expected. Seth Green was never going to make the team as a tight end. Maybe a practice squad piece, who knows. Ben Banogu, a couple of these had actually been announced yesterday, by the way. He has been released by the organization. Again, maybe practice squad, who knows. Alec Lindstrom, I kind of don't think will be on the press. I didn't even play that much in the preseason. That was maybe the most, if you'd have put money on one guy to get cut, that was probably the right, one of those 3 names is probably the good one to go with there. Quinton Bohanna has also been released. Now, Bohanna was better this year, and I'd love to get him back to the practice squad for the Cowboys, but the Cowboys were never going to carry 3 nose guards. They were never going to keep Mozzie Smith and Hankins and Bohanna. That left him on the wrong side looking in after to be fair, better preseason performance. Sheldrick Redwine, the safety, actually was decent in the preseason, but he had no chance. He was the 8th safety when you were already going to carry 6. The math was just not mathing for Sheldrick Redwine. We'll see if a different team shows interest in him in the coming days. 2 more cuts here, one of which just happened. But first, Dontario Drummond. Not a huge surprise here. He's been on the outside looking in. He has been released by the Cowboys organization. And then Jalen Cropper, who you'll see some label as Jalen Marino Cropper. I think he's dropped the Marino. It's just Jalen Cropper now. He has been released. The UDFA out of Fresno State. He will clear waivers. No one's claiming the Cowboys' 8th, whatever the number is, wide receiver. He will make it to the practice squad. He'll be there and get a shot to join the team again next season. That is it for today's show. If you have not already done so, make sure your notifications are set to all. Only about 20% of you have that. Everyone else, it's a guessing game as to whether or not YouTube will choose to send a notification your way. So make sure you guys are subscribed with notifications turned on. And by the way, one more. Literally, as we sit here filming, you can tell it's all done live, right? D'Angelo Mandell has been released by the Cowboys organization. That's one of the backup corners. Nothing too shocking from that perspective, but it does up the numbers from that angle as the Cowboys continue to get closer and closer to the 53-man roster.